Over the course of 2 decades, fans have made One Piece one of the most popular anime and manga in history. One cool aspect of the series are the powers of the devil fruits. We've seen dozens of devil fruit over the years, but not all are created equal. Today, I'm going to take a look at some of the most useless devil fruit powers. From the likes of the jacket fruit to the smooth fruit. Don't miss out on the chance to have a good laugh and possibly discover some useless devil fruit powers that you may find amazing, but completely useless. First on my list is the berry fruit, eaten by Captain Verygood. Now, at first glance, the ability to separate your body into a bunch of orbs might seem cool, but really, it's about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Sure, it nullifies damage from blunt attacks, but against skilled sword users, it's definitely hopeless. And don't even get me started on the fruit's offensive potential, it's basically non-existent. I mean, sure, you might be able to pelt someone a bunch of times, but is that really going to do any damage? The answer is a resounding no. Let's not forget about the fact that the fruit's defensive capabilities are also completely useless. That was made apparent as soon as Frankie grabbed a hold of Captain Verygood's head and ended the battle. While the ability to become floating orbs might seem cool in theory, in practice, it's about as cool as a one-legged man in a butt-kicking contest. Unless you're planning on getting into a fistfight, this devil is pretty much useless in any real-life scenario. So save your appetite for something more worthwhile, and steer clear of the berry fruit. The next useless devil fruit power from One Piece is the jacket fruit, eaten by Kelly Funk. Yep, you heard that right, the ability to be a jacket. You might be thinking, hey, that sounds pretty cool, I can take over someone else's body and control people to do my bidding. But hold your horses, because things aren't as they seem with this devil fruit. Sure, Kelly Funk can control someone else and use their abilities to become stronger, but there's a catch. The person has to willingly put it on, as the devil fruit doesn't provide the power to persuade someone to wear you as a jacket. So unless you're best friends with the strongest fighter in the world, and Kelly Funk is definitely not, this power is pretty much useless. Also, it's a full skin jacket, so the wearer will have to be okay with looking like Kelly Funk, and who wants to look like that? In the end, all you're left with is a person who can turn themselves into a jacket, that's incapable of making anyone wear them. I mean, come on, a jacket? No thanks. Next is the Rust fruit, which was acquired by Captain Shu. The Rust fruit gives Captain Shu the ability to rust and break apart metallic weapons. This has potential to be pretty handy, seeing as pirates use a lot of metallic weapons, such as swords and guns. Plus the fact that Captain Shu was able to not only survive a sword slash from Zoro, but also rust the sword in the process, shows it does have some beneficial uses. But in the end, he was taken out pretty easily by Usopp. And if you're a marine captain with devil fruit abilities who gets taken out by Usopp, that devil fruit has to go down as useless in my opinion. So, next. Everyone loves art, but is the ability to turn enemies into art the devil fruit power you would want? I'm talking about the art fruit that was eaten by Giola. It's a creative ability packed with lameness. Sure, it might make things look fantastic and colorful, but it's not going to stop Giola from getting beaten up by her enemies. Plus, the power wears off when Giola loses consciousness or goes to sleep. This power might be useful if you're an artist looking for inspiration, or if you desire to be the first pirate Picasso. But in the grand scheme of the pirate world, it's pretty useless. It's a case of style over substance, with the fruit's effects having such a fragile ability to last. The art fruit may look pleasing, but it's not going to do you much good in a fight. Giola does have her dying art, which allowed her to trap some of the Straw Hats into a 2-dimensional painting. But we all know how well that worked out for her. It's perfect for exhibits and art galleries, but in the pirate world, you all know it's a no. The next devil fruit allows the user to transform his limbs into wheels. Pretty cool, right? Wrong. This devil fruit is so useless it didn't even make it into the anime. Oda decided to make a 4-wheeled human when he created the wheel fruit. This fruit lets Guru spin his hands and feet at high speeds. However, the problem is that his wheel limbs are just not tough enough to handle anything that's even remotely hard. In other words, Guru is just a roller skate with arms and legs. Sure, it's a unique power and a talking point, but it's just not practical in any way. It's like having the ability to turn into a pencil, but you can't write anything. His wheel limbs might get broken or damaged after he spins toward a curb. The wheel fruit is one of the most useless devil fruits out there. I just don't think having the ability to turn my limbs into wheels is worth not being able to swim anymore. Introducing the devil fruit of gluttony. Wapple's Eat fruit. This devil fruit allows the user to eat anything, from people, weapons, buildings, you name it. And if that's not wild enough, he can then incorporate the eaten items into his own body, or combine them to create something else using the Baku Baku factory. The usefulness of this power, though, is questionable to say the least. Yeah, it makes Wapol stronger, but the power gained from it is not all that great most of the time. I mean, what's the point of eating a chair or a table if you're not going to use it as a weapon? And let's not forget that the power is highly dependent on what Wapol eats. So if he eats something weak, his power increase will be weak as well. Talk about being limited by your diet. The eat fruit's just not practical, and it's time consuming as he is always hungry. I'd hate to go into the bathroom after this guy got done using it. The next devil fruit is perfect for cleaning, but not much else. It's the Bubble fruit, the devil fruit that turns its user into a soap human. Khalifa, the unlucky recipient of this fruit, can emit and control bubbles that can wash away her enemy's strength by making their body so slippery they can't function. Wash away, get it? But let's be real, bubbles that make you slippery and drain your strength are only useful in certain situations. And unfortunately for Khalifa, those situations are few and far between. The biggest problem with this power is that it can easily be countered by water and wind. I mean, come on, it's soap and bubbles, not some almighty force. So unless Khalifa's opponents are too afraid to take a shower or there's zero wind blowing, this devil fruit is pretty much useless in a fight. On the bright side, Khalifa can definitely keep the streets clean and make some money as a washing service, as she cleans St. Poplar to raise money for Rob Lucci's medical treatments. But in a battle, this ability can hardly keep up. A normal firefighter can pin her down with a huge hose, and it's game over. No pirates needed. Aside from the Bubble fruit, there's another slippery, useless devil fruit, and it's the Smooth fruit, which was eaten by the infamous Alvida. This devil fruit makes the user's body as smooth as a baby's bottom, and anything that touches it slips right off, like trying to grab a bar of soap in the shower. You might think, wow, that's a great defensive power. But hold on just a second there, champ. Sure, it's useful against basic attacks, but any opponent with hockey can easily break through the slippery defense, so it's not exactly the ultimate protection you might have hoped for. And let's not forget the weight loss effect. The Smooth fruit causes any excess fat to slip right off the user's body, leaving them slim and trim. Sounds great, right? Well, what if you're already happy with your body the way it was? Losing that much weight all at once can be super dangerous. Plus, think about how expensive it will be to buy a whole new wardrobe to fit your new slimmed down self. While the Smooth fruit might have its benefits, it's definitely not the most useful devil fruit out there while in the midst of battle. And it's certainly not worth risking your health or your wallet over. Finally, the most useless devil fruit in One Piece. The human fruit that was eaten by our beloved little doctor Tony Chopper. This devil fruit grants its user the ability to transform into a human or human hybrid, giving them human-like intelligence and physical abilities, but not much else. Compared to other zone-type devil fruits that turn their users into fearsome beasts, the human fruit seems pretty lackluster. And if a human were to eat it, they'd just become a normal human, but with the unwanted side effect of being unable to swim. Although Oda once said that should a human eat the human fruit, they would also gain enlightenment, most people think that he was just having a little bit of fun with that answer. So, while it's great that Chopper was able to gain human-like intelligence and better understand the world around him, the human fruit's actual combat abilities are somewhat underwhelming. Well, that was a fun and fruitful journey through some of the most pointless devil fruit powers in the One Piece universe. From the berry fruit to the human fruit, it's clear that not every power can be a winner. But hey, at least they make for some great comic relief, right? So if you ever come across a fruit that turns you into a bicycle or makes your body look like a Picasso painting, just remember, it may look cool, but it's not going to do you much good in a fight against a pirate captain or a giant sea monster. Keep on exploring the weird and wacky world of One Piece, but make sure to steer clear of these useless devil fruits. Thanks for watching!